Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to session 13 of Business Communication subject. Dear students, in this session, we will learn about the purchase correspondence. In that purchase correspondence, so we will discuss some of the important tips and essential elements to how to write the purchase order. I mean, the order letters. Okay, so let us. Yes, my dear students, in the last session, we have learned the meaning of order letters and some of the characteristics features of order letter and the pro forma, I mean prescribed format of the order letter and its importance. And there also we have seen some of the multiple choice questions for your assessment. Yes, my dear students. So once again, I welcome you all to the session number 13. The main learning objectives of this session is to make the students learn some of the tips to write order letters and enable them to know how to draft the order letters in the business organization. The main content to be covered in this session is the working on order letters, I mean the drafting of order letters. Uh, Here we will discuss some of the tips to write the a good order letter, and we will also see the some of the sample of order letters. Yes. So now our first concept is tips to write an order letter. My dear students, so you just remember before writing the order letter, here we have some of the tips we should keep on mind while drafting a order letter. In that, number one, the letter should be very precise and concise, and it has to be clear. There is no some pep talk. I mean, there should not be any casual talk because this is a formal letter. So therefore, the casual talk, I mean pep talk, is not required here. And number two, the important tip is the language. The whatever the language you are using while writing the order letter, that language should be easy to understand while also being, and this that language should be formal in nature. You must use the formal business language. Number three, do not make any mistakes in specifications and quantities because we are making an order to the seller that to because we need some of the essential products from them. We are getting products from them by mentioning the specification of quantities. So if there is any mistakes, so that will lead to some other extra complaints, arguments, etc., right? So some of the adjustment letters will arise. So therefore you should not make any mistakes. So before writing any order letter, before writing a specification, you must draft a draft copy with yourself. You must keep a draft copy with you. So after so here a proverb like that, think before ink, right? So before writing it, you have to think a little bit, and then you have to mention exactly about the product specifications and quantities needed for you. And another important tip is how to avoid the spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. There should not be any spelling mistakes and grammatical errors because the grammatical errors, I mean spelling mistakes, can lead to some other adjustment, right? So therefore, there should not be. You must avoid all the spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. And another important point is stick to the topic. You must write exactly whatever you need, right? So you have to stick on with the subject line you have written and the main theme of the letter, right? So you have to write the main theme of the letter, and there should not be any misleading information in the letter, in the order letter. And another important tip is the letter should be while writing a letter, you must use a polite, because because you are ordering the goods, right? You are writing an order letter, order for goods, but not you are ordering the person, So you should be polite while writing the order letter because you are ordering for goods but not ordering the person. Okay. So you should not order the person from whom you are getting information. From you are getting from the seller you are getting the products and services, right? So you should be polite while writing the letter. And another important tip is avoid using too many adjectives. So there should not be any descriptions, right? So you should not describe the person or a seller, right? So there should not be any exaggeration, right? There should not be an exaggeration. You should be very specific about the subject, and the letter should be in a simple words. And another important tip: do not use a jargon. Jargon means some of the special characteristics words, special words. I mean, little bit difficult words. Here you have to use a simple words. Those words you have to use. The words can be understand by the reader easily. Okay, so it should be very clear. You should not be used the jargon, difficult word. I mean, the words which have different meanings or special characteristic words. Next, don't hesitate to place the order, but don't forget to plan before writing. I said earlier in the previous points, you should not hesitate to place the order because order is not a final year, right? So if you order the material, you will get the product, you will get the services from the seller. So therefore, while writing the order letter, you should be planned very well. You must have a well plan. You must plan with financially and as well as whatever the quantity you need for your business operation. Therefore, you should not hesitate while placing an order. This hesitation comes whenever you are not prepared well. It shows your unpreparedness, right? So therefore, you must plan before writing the order letter. Yes. These are all the very important some of the tips I have given you. And another some of the important elements which you have to keep in mind while writing the order letters. Not only order letters, uh, at almost all the business letters. So those are the contact information about yourself, the person or company that will supply to you on the date. So you must mention your address. I mean, from the letter who is writing. I mean, letter, so you must mention your contact number and information regarding you. And also in the next, by leaving after leaving a sentence, I mean a small line, you must mention the seller or the person who supplies the goods. Okay, so with the date, and after that a subject line should be there. With that subject line you must understand the subject line. The recipient will understand your process of writing letter. And then mention a salutation like dear sir, respected sir. If you know the name, so dear Mr. So and so, or dear supplier, or dear seller, so whatever you can. If you don't know the name, you just mention a seller, dear seller, or a dear supplier, or dear so and so person, right? So respected sir is the best way for marking a salutation. And then the information about company. Uh, this is not actually necessary, but because you have introduced yourself in while inquiring about the product before, right? So after, before coming to the order letter, you must have inquired with the seller. So therefore, if you have not inquired with the seller, directly you are placing an order, so you just mention about your company or your future plans, uh, and this is just an optional. Okay, however this can ensure a long term relationship. If you want to make any long term relationship with them, you just introduce yourself in the beginning of a first paragraph of the letter. And you can also say a few words about your future plans related to the sales, I mean the relationship. Yes. And then in the next paragraph, you have to mention the order details. Order details are like that, the description, model, number, color, size, number, quantity, price quotations. The price list will be there in the quotation. Previously, you would have the quotation from the seller, right? So therefore, you can also mention here the size and quantity, then the price also. With the price list they have sent to you, you can mention the order. If possible, use these points in bulletin mark, or you can mention a table also, right? So you can mention a table with a table description, so you can elaborate the order letter. And then, so coming to the next concept, mention your payment mode, whatever the payment mode you are using. If you have paid already in advance, you also mention that in the next line, right? So because you have made a payment, right? So if you have not made payment, you must mention the payment mode, whether it is the 7 days, 30 days, 20 days, 10 days. So whatever may be the conditions which you have agreed with, the terms and conditions which you have agreed with the supplier. And then indicate your preferred delivery method also, delivery method and delivery date, because there should not be any delay. There should not be any delay supplying the goods from the seller, right? So therefore, you have to mention the delivery conditions, delivery method, whether you are getting lorry transport, road transport, or sea transport, whatever it may be. Okay, so there you have to mention the freight and delivery method, and also delivery date, expected delivery date from you. And then you have to include any special instructions as a part of the terms and conditions agreed between the parties. So if you have agreed any terms and conditions, special terms and conditions in the inquiring and reply letter with the supplier, so you just mention, you can also mention here in the order letter also. And then tell them that tell the seller you will enjoy future cooperation with them and encourage them to contact if needed. So this is very important, because not just one order comes to an end of your business, right? So with that person, I mean seller, in order to maintain a cordial relationship for a longer time, so longer relationships with him, I mean the seller. So you just close it with complimentary close, right? So sincerely, yours faithfully, whatever you can. So you just usually in business letter already introduce yourself, and both the parties are well known. So therefore, you just mention the cordial relationship with him, and also close the letter with the cordial complimentary closing along with your signature. So these points are these points. So now we can go through the drafting and placing an order for the order. Yes, my dear students. Yes, as I said in important tips and elements of the letter. So here we have some of the aspects. Okay. So a sample letter, color word, it is a letterhead. Yes, a letterhead. Color word is a product. Believing that one date, and to whom he is rating, to address, I mean seller address, manager, sales division, National Paints Company Limited, 20 Tongi, Gazipur, right? So this is the uh, and he mentioned salutation remarks, dear sir or respected sir. You can use the respected sir also, right? Salutation mark he has mentioned. And coming to the next paragraph, so he has mentioning that he is thanking him for sending the quotation and price. Right? Thank you for your quotation and the price list which you have sent to me. We are glad to place our first order with you. He is adding that this is the first order with the person, I mean manager of the National Paint Company. That This is the first order. In the next paragraph, he has mentioned a table. Here, he has written a table with the product description, serial number, description, quantity, weight, unit price. I mean, price per unit, and the amount, total amount, right? So he has mentioned with quantity tins and weight also, and along with the price, and he has mentioned total price also. So after that description table, the order table, so he has written another paragraph that since the above goods are required immediately as our stock is about to exhaust very soon, he is mentioning that our I explained you the few of the elements which you have to keep in mind while writing. That is delivery method. Here he is mentioning he is mentioning that delivery method through motor carriage inward is supposed to be borne by you only, because in the previous inquiry and quotation letter the delivery terms has been agreed between them, so therefore he has added the point here. And then in the next paragraph he has mentioned the mode of payment, I mean the terms and conditions regarding the payment. Yes, he shall arrange payment within 10 days. He is asking the time for with the conditions. So for that, the conditions in those conditions are mentioned by the company. However, we needed for this order, we try to reject the goods. The stock arrived late, so we can. I mean, okay. He is mentioning business term, condition for business. Yes. After that paragraph, he is just ending with complimentary basically or reverse Mohammed Sari, public manager. Yes, my dear son, this is how we have to write the order.